Hey everybody, this is Josh Blair, and you have found Loan Officer Success Stories brought to you by the Mortgage Sense team. Thanks for joining us today. We have a very special guest, one of my favorite people in the entire business, Merrily Brown. Merrily, how you doing?
I'm good, Josh. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Merrily's with Mpire Financial, and she has agreed to come and talk to us about, the success that she's had and how she's found it. So why don't we start with the basics? How did you get in the mortgage business?
At a poker game.
You lost a bet?
Well, it was funny because I was hosting, my husband and I were, big poker addicts, and we were hosting poker at our house because we had young children and we didn't want to leave. So
Sure.
we just decided to host at our house and meet people. And this was before I was in the business. We had a bunch of realtors that would come in, and there was this one couple, had no idea what they did, but they owned a mortgage company. And I had my own marketing company, and I don't know, I just called on them one day and they said, you'd make a great loan officer. And I'm like, what's that? And so anyway, that's how I got in the business. Is they said, you need to skip this marketing stuff and just work on marketing yourself. And that's how I got in.
So you were already in a sales was it a sales type position, or was it?
So I owned my own marketing company for 26 years, and my specialty was book and author promotion. So I was like the publicist for authors and, building their websites and doing a lot of tech stuff and doing book tours and all kinds of stuff. And I started moving into small business and things like that. And here's the funny story is I got tired of the technology changing. I got started in this when AOL was big, and that was probably before you were born, Josh. But
no, it wasn't.
But people were just getting started. The authors needed websites, and I was already their publicist, and I was hiring people to do it, and I got really frustrated. So I said, well, I'll learn how to do that. So I kind of taught myself how to build websites and get them promoted on internet marketing. And all of a sudden the technology changed. All of a sudden, people wanted Flash design. Again, probably before you were born, but Flash was the first thing in animated websites. So I learned how to do that, did everybody's Flash site, and then Apple came on board with the iPhone, and they decided, we're not going to support Flash. So I ended up having to redesign everybody's, webpage out of Flash, and then WordPress came in. And anyway, long story short, I said, keep it up with technology, forget it. Let's go into something stable. I went into mortgages, and just after I got my license, TRID came about, so I had to relearn everything. And now,
stability at its finest.
Talk about more so than the internet. I've had to keep up with, guidelines and technology and
right. Oh yeah. No, the mortgage business never changes.
Yeah, and the housing market never changes. And
never.
So anyway, luckily I'm so flexible, and I just jump on to whatever the new thing is and just ride it. So. Oh,
absolutely. So talk to us about your team. What kind of team do you have around you supporting what you do on a day-to-day basis?
So I have at Mpire, I'm like a branch manager. They don't call it branches really at our company, but I'm like a sales manager. And so I have 20 loan officers that are on my team, and we all share my operations team. So I've been building up my operations team, and that kind of started accidentally too. I sort of just step into stuff, and good things happen. There's probably bad things too. I just ignore it. So, but I wanted to be able to have my own loan partner, or I like to call her pre-approval specialist, and I wanted to have my own processor, but I didn't feel like I was doing the production well enough, or I didn't have enough production to be able to handle them on my own. So I thought, well, why don't I bring in some loan officers and we'll share. Well, that has now, in the last year and a half, exploded into, my huge team. I have one loan partner, or my pre-approval specialist. I have 2 processors, and one of my processors doubles as my pre-approval specialist and processor. So I have 3 basically on my ops team. And as I grow more loan officers, which I wasn't going to do, and I don't recruit, and how they found me, I have no idea, but it's been a good thing. So as we grow, I'm always on the lookout for more pre-approval specialists and processors to build that. So I'm managing that ops team, plus I'm there as kind of a mentor. I hate to call myself a coach. I'm not a coach, don't want a coach, but I do mentor. And I said, hey, here's what I do, and if you can just replicate what I'm doing, then you'll be successful. So, and that's what's happening, and we all kind of work together. So
awesome. So let's talk about that a little bit. If you were to think back to one of your more successful years, and you don't have to get into like numbers and figures or anything, but what made it stand out? How did you make that happen? What is it that you do to be successful?
So the biggest thing that made the biggest difference for me is when I started getting coaching, and I joined Mortgage Marketing Animals. My first coach was Susie Bruner. She was fabulous until she retired, and I've learned to forgive her. I'm working through that a little bit, forgiveness. But
it took some time. Okay.
But I needed to make a move, and luckily I was being coached at the time, and she walked with me, helping me figure out where I was going to go. And my only requirement at the time was I wanted to be able to go to a company that was going to support what I was doing and learning at Mortgage Marketing Animals. And so she helped me after, it took me 3 months before I landed at Mpire. Almost forgot the name of my company. So then she retired, and I got Coach Rick. So I had Coach Rick for quite a while. And then I went with Kevin, helped me out and with Branch Manager Academy. And I mean, that's been probably more than anything is the right kind of coaches in my life, and feeding into me and helping me, and them becoming my very close friends, too. So that was the biggest step. And it does, yes, it matters who your coach is, but sometimes it doesn't have to be Mortgage Marketing Animals, although that's what worked for me. There's a lot of great coaching companies out there. Just make sure it's somebody who's going to become your best friend and really wants to see you successful.
And you're just to make sure you're not doing it alone, just kind of floating out there, right?
My first probably 5 years in the mortgage business, I wasn't coached. 5-6 years. And I mean, I was just scrambling, didn't know what I was doing, didn't really have a mentor at the company where I was at. And I ended up becoming top producer at my company, but I don't know how I got there. I was wearing myself out. And I think that's why I went into coaching, because I heard Carl White talk about Freedom Fridays and, getting off at a certain time. And I'm like, man, I'm working 12-hour days, 7 days a week. I was killing myself. My family didn't know me. And I said, I've got to get better at this. And so that's what coaching really helped me do.
Awesome. That's a great story. So switching gears just a little bit. Okay. And this, I told you no hard questions, but this one might be a hard one. Is there a moment, you talk about you've kind of accidentally kind of stepped into a few of these different roles within here, but was there ever a moment that you said to yourself, you know what, I'm home. This is what I want to do for the rest of my career?
Oh, definitely. About a year and a half ago, when I was in retail, and things in retail wasn't going so good, and I was losing lots of deals, and then somebody bought out my company where I was at, and that was a tough transition. Not that there was anything wrong with the guy that bought the company, but it was just really tough. Mm-hmm. And so when I made that change and I found Mpire, and then because Mpire, I'm a broker now, and that was a little tough transitioning from retail to broker. It was probably maybe 6-7 months in when all of a sudden it kind of clicked, and I was really liking what I was doing. So much so with this company, they opened up the company to employees being able to buy in. And I said, you know what? this is home for me. This is where I'm going to spend the rest of my career. And so I bought into the company in a pretty large way. So I'm now part owner of Mpire. And that's when I said, you know what? I love what I'm doing. I feel like I could do this the rest of my life. And yesterday I was having some discussion with somebody about, retiring. And I'm like, I just can't imagine myself ever retiring. Unless something goes wrong with my brain, I think I could do this, I'm 61 years old. I think I've got a good 10 years left on me. So, and then even then, if I don't originate, I think I'll always mentor my group and manage my production team. So,
yeah.
But I love the trenches,
If you're doing what you love, there's no need to retire, right?
Yeah. And it was stressful in the first 6 months being a broker because I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
But now, I just don't suffer the stress. Tough times come, but I get exhilarated from it instead of, trying to pull my hair out and, say, forget it, I quit. I don't have a I quit feeling anymore.
Awesome.
Well, and I surround myself with great people like you and your dad. I mean, some of my favorite people. I know so many people across this industry now that we're all in the same thing. And, you would think, oh, you guys are competitors. No, we become best friends. Mm-hmm. We understand what we're going through. We're going for the same thing. And there's enough business out there. I mean, it's truly one of the best industries you can ever imagine.
I don't think it's going to get any better than that. So, Merrily, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. I appreciate you joining us, even though we're competitors.
No tears, no crying.
I told you, no crying, no crying on my podcast.
It's a great industry, and I love meeting people like you and your dad. So
awesome. Well, guys, if you're interested in learning more about loan officer success stories and just hearing how to make it big in this business, tune in. Subscribe, ring the bell. We always have more coming. So thank you very much, and y'all have a great day.
Bye. Thanks.